Right, looks like we are live. Let me tweet this out real quick. Ah, what happened to my tweet screen? Let me try this again. 1 second. Oh, there it is. All right, tweet, tweet. All right, we're live. What's going on, everybody? I hope you had a great trading day today. It was definitely rather rough, right? It was a pretty choppy day. That's what we were talking about last night, right? We were saying, you know, don't be afraid to just sit on the sidelines during this market. It's nuts, right? I mean, we're in the chop zone until we get a new direction, right? So, overall, the broad market, right, is looking. Let's take a look at the SPX. So, right, this is the whole year right here, right? So the year has been in this channel, and we're just like, tested it like 3 times already in the last, couple months. So, and we're back in this range, right? So, basically, something's gonna have to give here, right? It's either gonna rip, at some point, and just get on back up and do the Santa Claus rally and be over with it, right? And then at which point, to really be bullish, it's got to take out, these 2 pivots right here, and then potentially get up further, and then fill the channel, right? Or it's going to break down. It's going to break down hard, right? So I mean, we've got a lot of people think here, well, a lot of people, whatever, but you got a wave, we got a wave 1 down, right? ABC, which formed a wave 2, so we've got wave 3 working, right? So this could have been, this down here was 1, working on wave 2 up, and then 3 all the way down to, who knows, let's just say, how about a pitchfork target here by the end of the year, 2350-ish, right? So we'll see what it does. So, but we are still at this point. That's what this right here, this consolidation, this part of this yearly pattern is what's making it really difficult to trade. If you're good at shorting, right? I mean, here, this wave 1 down was great, right? If you're, what was this, an inside day here? Yeah, I mean, here, inside day, right? Then, nice movement to the upside. So, you can trade in those ranges, right? But this whole area, this corrective phase right here is choppy, right? That's why they call it a zigzag or a flat, right? In the Elliott wave principle. Because this is, you can get chopped up in this range, right? You want to ride these bigger waves down, especially wave 3. So wave 3 needs to really get itself going, get in motion. There should be some good shorts, right? And usually the breakdowns go faster than the, some people say, there's no physics to this and all that, but guys like who are, like Alan Andrews, right? Who came with the the Andrews pitchfork, among and the reaction lines, right? This guy was like a master's degree at MIT and Harvard and all that stuff. I mean, this guy really, looked into, every action as an equal and opposite reaction. Same with stock market, so gravity tends to pull things down faster, right? And it's harder to climb back up, right? So boom, down fast. It's harder to climb back up. Down fast. Kind of hard to make a decision right here, right? So, these bear market moves move a lot faster. That's why it's so fun to short. I love it. So it's just, so anytime like we get a bearish market, I love to look for shorting opportunities. So just because it goes fast, you make quick money and it's fun, right? So, yeah, but if we start to like make our way back up, and as long as we take out these 2 pivots, then the overall sentiment then becomes bullish again, right? But more than likely, we're probably going to see further downside. So it's just choppy to get there right now. So it has to be pretty good confirmation bar. We haven't had any confirmation bar on any of the tests below this level. The last one we had was here, and it put in a big reversal candle, right? So that was well defended. And that was a bottoming tail there, which would imply a further up move potentially, right? But it kind of comes back in. So anyway, that's kind of overall picture, and again, why it's really choppy and all that stuff. So like I said, I mean, this is. Oh, and I want to say real quick too. This is the time of year. Next week, I mean, I'm going to trade at the open, but if you're planning on trading next week, I mean, I wouldn't trade anything except maybe the anchors at the open, right? And so because that week before Christmas is last year, you know, as I decided, I was like, oh, I'm going to trade it and all that stuff, and it just was horrible, right? I mean, it's just like slow, nothing was triggering, and it was just like it's a great, you know, you just have to be very patient and only look for the very, very best setups, you know, or do like a 60 anchor at the open, get a little push at the open, and just be done for the day, right? Enjoy the vacation. So, but I'll probably still be doing charts and all that stuff just to keep up with it. So, anyway, what's going on, Clayton? Good to see you, man. Awesome job on the levels today. What's up, Jesus, YOLO, Shirley? How's it going? Okay, back to the charts, right? So, wanted to touch on a couple things today. Let me start with I want to talk about the Morning Star setup. So Morning Star setup, you know, of course I'll put a link to it in you know, in the bottom section, you know, the comment, you know, the description section of this YouTube video. But you know, a Morning Star setup is a reversal pattern, right? And it's a reversal pattern to go long, right? And so as opposed to the Evening Star, which is the opposite version of it, right? So a good way to spot these, right, just to kind of get used to it, is look for pivots, right? Look for bottom pivots and see what the setup was. But the way that these set up, right, is candle 1 is going to have an extended red body, real body, right, the actual body of the candle. Don't worry about the shadows or the wicks, right? Just worry about the real body of the candle. So you would look for like a candle like this, right? That would be your first candle. The next one, this one is going to be a disqualifier, right? So it's it has to have a small real body that doesn't get into the prior real body. So see how this one here, let me zoom in. Right? See how this one here is closed, it got into and closed within the real body of this guy. So that's not going to work, right? So if this guy here didn't close in the real body of this, except this was, you know, that would be the opposite, right? So okay, so you have big red candle, basically small red candle under that has the whole body underneath this candle, and there's one more to conclude it, where the third candle is a big green body that goes deep into the first that first black candle, and it can even go past it, right? So and then what it's showing is that the bulls are back in control, right? Because here, boom, bears are control, obviously, right? And then here, it's like, oh, I couldn't get back into it. That's why when you see my tweets and I talk about the monthly, I'm like, oh, we're in the bottom portion of the, you know, last month and all that stuff. It just shows that, you know, yeah, it might be green, but we're not back in it yet, right? And so you can look for these on any time frame, of course, right? You can look from the monthlies, weeklies, but you know, dailies are good when you're looking for, you know, intraday setups, right? What looks like it could go long. So, you know, I'm just kind of scanning through Facebook here and see if we can see one. I know I saw one earlier. No. See, I mean, they're pretty rare. So when you see them, you know, you would anticipate that it'd be a pretty good opportunity. That one was close. I saw this earlier. I saw one earlier. This one's kind of close, right? See how that real body is under the real body here, but this one didn't really make it totally into that. If this closed higher up green, that would have been a good, you know, Morning Star reversal. But you can see it worked anyway. Let's see if we can find one. I found one earlier. Oh, I might have to go to Apple. Let me see. I think it's more recent on Apple. Let's see. I have this prepared. This is when Apple was going up forever. You can see these are not very common. I have to go to a shorter time frame just to try to track one. Okay, I mean this would be a pretty good example. So, I mean not the perfect example because it's not really a big red bar. But you kind of get the idea, right? You have red bar, real body underneath it, and then the next one closes deep within the range of that red bar, and then, you know, I mean, it kind of slowly went up, but it certainly went up for a while, right? Let's see, any other pivots here? Not seeing too many. I think that was the best example I saw. I thought I saw this one earlier. Sorry, I should have circled it. Let's see. No. Any big red bars anywhere? That one's kind of close, but it still went into the real body of that one. Let's see if we can find a better example. I won't believe it. I might have to post one later. Or find one of the hourlies. I think that one I showed you earlier was the closest I could find on Facebook. Must have been what I saw. I just assumed more would jump out at me. Look at the hourly time frame. See if you see anything here that's good. No, I don't want to go that far. Twitter. Let's see if any of these guys put in a morning star. Sorry, I know this is boring. Well, you can see they're obviously... here we go. This one's pretty good. Not quite. Well, I'll have to tweet one out as a follow-up just to show you, but you get the idea, you get the description of it. It's you're looking for one that you have a big red body, and these are probably not the Tesla's probably got one. You know, 'cause this thing pivots all over the place. I'm gonna do one more one. Sorry, I'm not trying to waste your time here. I mean, this is actually one right here. So here we go. Okay. Not a huge red bar here, but obviously this is way below the the body of this bar here, right? And this one pierces deeply into it. So your entry is here above this, and then you can see, you know, ultimately it went up. Although Tesla is just, you know, it can be super crazy. So obviously these setups are rather rare, and so, but when you do see them, they are good, right? I mean, they're effective. Well, if you guys spot one, just tweet one out to me later, because they are tough to come by. But you can look at them for any time frame. So if you find one in the hourly or something like that, it can definitely be traded. Here's one right here that's pretty good, but never triggered. So anyway, keep an eye out for those. So let me backtrack to yesterday. Clayton wanted to take a look at NVIDIA real quick. So I just want to go over real quick. Yesterday we were talking about the dark cloud covers, and why is this happening? All right, so we had a dark cloud cover here. Right. Yeah. So dark cloud cover here, and basically, you know, yesterday, right? So this is your dark cloud right here. We closed in the low end of this range, right? And so now we basically have this 145 level, right, which is the trigger level here of this, you know, essentially this dark cloud. Same with this dark cloud right here, right, because it's still closed low in the end of that range. And all it has to do is, what it should do eventually, if it breaks this 145 level, it should get some further downside movement. So we'll just keep an eye on this one to see if that ends up playing out for us. So yeah. So anyway, that's sort of a brief review. I wish I could show you a better. Oh, here we go. This one's actually pretty good. Maybe NVIDIA. So if we look here, this is not quite a morning star, but you see it needs to close below that body, and the next one deeper inside the body, and then it kind of goes back up, right? So not a perfect morning star setup, but you can kind of see the idea that is, if you know the bears were in charge here, bulls got some, you know, a little bit of stance because it closed green, and then they took control here, and then basically that, you know, you would have had a stop down here. You never would have got stopped out on the way up, right? So it was a pretty strong move on that, even during the choppiness. So yeah, so just keep an eye on that. Just want to see if I can find a good example. Another one. I'll have to find one on a lower time frame and just tweet it out later when I see one. Obviously very rare. Anyway, I don't want to space out too much on this right now. So yeah, so anyway, I just want to do a little game plan review real quick, and then we'll take chart requests and questions. So today we had a bunch of 15 orbs that kind of popped up, right? So we had TLRD. TLRD we talked about yesterday, right? So we had the head and shoulders set up, gap down on earnings, and then we talked about, what do you do on these gap downs? How do you trade those, right? Well, you trade the 15 orb, right? Definitely. And you could have traded that one on this one. It's a cheaper stock, so you're not going to get a huge move and all that stuff. But this one obviously was tradable. So there's your 15 orb right there. Your entry is 1445, right? And on a cheap stock, it got down all the way to 1377s, and of course never stopped out. These are good too because inside 15 you could have traded that there too, 1450, and then all the way down to 1421, quick 30 cents, 1,000 shares, make $300, good to go, right? A little bit of risk because of the size of the candle, but it's you go in the direction of the trend there. So definitely money to be made on the orbs there. The idea was, though, right, is that there were gaps to fill, and so that's kind of what would have given you more confidence, even to potentially go in, on like a 5-minute or something like that. But the, on the daily, right? Let me go to the, right. So on the daily, we got down to this level here. We had a gap, and I tweeted this out last night, and we talked about it last night. So we had this gap here that was filled at 1433, right? So that was that line, and then we had another one there at 1377. And so if we go to the hourly chart, let's zoom in there. So here, right, you can see where it opened. A little bit of craziness in the beginning, and then open, little craziness, and then boom, fills the first gap at 1433 right here, right? So, and then, kind of, now that's like, kind of like a level line, right? And then look here, like I said, you kind of had to be a ninja to catch it, but, it got really, really close on this one. But here you could have done this inside 60, right? And just taken that to the downside at 1402. And I remember I said a 14 break would probably be pretty good. Well, it came back up and eventually took that to the downside. And you'd have been pretty quick on this one. But yeah, you'd have made about, this is definitely, $14, 1,000 shares, boom, you'd have made $200, pretty quickly on that stock. So you had to do it quickly. Like I said, you had to have be kind of a ninja on it. But if you could have managed it and brought it down, you could have easily made $100, $200 on it. So I just kind of wanted to point that out. And we look for these on these gaps because the reason is that these gaps, when they gap like this, it puts a lot of energy back into the stock, right? Because here, look, you can see the prior days, 100,000 each hour, 200,000 and all that stuff, and then boom, 6 million, right? You've got 6 million shares being traded, or more, almost 7 million, then 2 million. I mean, this is huge, right? Huge volume, huge volatility, and so you look for action on those. And when you have action, these things want to do what they should be doing anyway. That's why trading fun, fast-moving markets is fun, because it actually is doing something, right? And so this, wants to fill those gaps, right? The price wants to have continuity and test those prices again, and so it's going to do that, and it did it to the penny. And so these are things to look out for, right? And so we'll look out for those tomorrow as well. So we've got Costco tomorrow, right? So it's gapping down at 220, right? Not huge, not really that impressive, but it kind of puts in a this might be a good reversal trade. We'll see. Yeah, so 220 is where it's gapping down at right now. I mean, no big deal, right? It was doing that anyway. So I mean, Costco's a relatively good stock, right? So it looks like there's a gap down here. It doesn't look like it's going to get that far. I'm not saying that it can't, but this is one we'd look to trade in the direction of the gap, right? So if it gaps down, you do the 15 orb potentially to the downside. But if it holds this level, right? Certainly 216. Right, if it holds those levels, then you might be able to see a reversal on this thing too. So, but if it continues in a downtrend, it might do it until it fills, like a gap down here too. So, okay, so that's Costco, and let's look at Adobe real quick. All right, Adobe is down. It's only down $3. I mean, these aren't very impressive. So, yeah, it was crazy in that first hour after earnings. Now it's just kind of consolidating. Adobe's a tough stock to trade, so I would take a look at Costco for tomorrow, and then we've got Starbucks on the docket too. Lowe's. I think Lowe's today was a 15 orb potential. It was a tough one to trade on, especially on options, 'cause it gets a little goofy. But you know, I mean, you could have scalped it a little bit here. 93, you know, 50 cents, you know, type situation. Just you know, some crazy movement on this one today. So just goes along with the choppiness of the market. So anyway, so those are kind of the things we have on the docket. Oh, and real quick, I want to talk about AMD and LRCX. AMD is double inside day, right? So a quick review of the double inside day strategy, right? It all depends on where you open, right? So if you open, you know, futures right now are down. So if we gap down tomorrow, right, we'll look, usually double inside days and these type of things want to test their other ranges of the other range of the double inside day more than some other setups, right? So if you gap down, it's, you know, if you think about it, the price is like, okay, but I want to check back up here again. So you have a better chance, depending on how far you gap down, of going back into this range and testing. This is, you know, a $1.10 range right here. So if you gap down, you want to look to try to trade it to the upside. If you gap up, you want to try to trade it to the downside. If you gap in the middle of the range, right, you go to your time frame here, and you base your trades off of the VWAP, and you know, you look at relative strength and you know, how it's handling price, right? So if it gaps above, you know, kind of, you know, higher in the range, kind of above the VWAP, right, you look to go long to see if it can take a double inside day up, and if it's below the VWAP, you look to go down to see if it take the double inside day down. So it all depends on this trade. I'm actually probably going to trade live in the morning, so we'll look at this in the morning, and then we'll look at LRCX too, just to see. I just like it because there's a gap above. Right, we pitchforked this recently. So there's a gap above here. So if it breaks the double inside day to the upside and can get through this resistance, you've got a potential gap fill there. And obviously if it breaks to the downside, you know, you could see 135 and even potentially down to like this 131 area. So this is definitely, I'm going to take a look at this one tomorrow just because they've been a little bit weaker after Apple had like bad iPhone sales because they're like a provider for iPhone stuff. So that's pretty much all I got tonight, man. Wish I had it. Oh, look at that. Miracle of miracles. Oh, I was going to say, oh, there's a morning star right there, except this is not a big, it's not a big green bar. I was looking for one. I'll tell you, when I find one, I will post one. They are rare, but I've seen them before, and they trade pretty well. Here we go. This is pretty decent. You know, the real body closed below the real body of this one, right? And then you had a green bar that got a little bit better up into the range, not quite 50%, but pretty strong. And look at that, the next day, gap up and move. So I mean, entry 184 all the way up to 194. So a 10-point move right there on that. Pretty decent morning star setup. So hopefully that helps. So let's see if there's any other. Let's see if we can see any evening stars on this one. Anyway, that's almost a pretty good one right there. Except it's totally that needs to be green, that needs to be red, and then that needs to be red too. So it's a tough one to find the exact setup. So green, you can do this one. Look at that right there. So this is kind of an evening star right here. So you had a big green bar, closed outside of it, next one pierced deeply into the range, in fact beyond it, and then ended up gapping down and going 148 all the way down to 135. So another 10 points to the downside. So so watch for morning stars and evening stars in the future. They're rare, but when you see them, you should get excited because there's a good potential for a movement on that. So hope that helps. Okay, let's see what we got going on, everybody. Javier, how's it going? AFL for a 30-minute orb tomorrow. Let's see. Yeah, didn't I see, what was the news on Aflac? I saw something come up on that. Let's see. Do they have earnings? Ooh, nice move today. Yeah, what was the deal with that today? Check out the news. Oh, $2.6 billion Japanese stake. Is that SoftBank? Did they take the money out of Nvidia and decide to put it in Aflac or something? Let's see. That's awesome. All right, well, my computer's free. You know, that happens sometimes when I pull up news. Sorry, guys. Probably froze up my screen on this. It might take a few minutes. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely one. This might even be a because it looks like it was after hours that this came out. Let me see. Let me look at the fly here. Let's see, AFL. Liquid option name, pre-market movers. It was a pre-market mover today. Discussion with Japan post holding minority investment. Yeah. So yeah, 30 orb tomorrow for Affleck. That's a good one. We'll add that to it. Javier. Nice one. Nice move today. Look at that bar. I mean, nice, almost Maribozu bar. Good one there. Twitter. Oh, my favorite Twitter. Well, hold on. If my Thinkorswim will come back to life here. Oh, it's thoroughly crashing. That's what I get for double clicking on news. I know that happens. You know, it works on my phone just fine, but then I forget that this one, if you double click on it to read the news, it like just crashes the program. I'm gonna have to restart, guys. Give me a second. We're going black. Let me see if I can load it up a little bit better. So yeah, as soon as I get back on, we'll check out Twitter and we'll check out BGS. Shooting Star Sin's probably going bear. Right, exactly. What's going on, Chris? Let me hold on, guys. I have to force Thinkorswim to. There we go. Give me 1 second. We'll get it loaded back up here shortly. Minor technical difficulties. And then we'll check out Twitter, BGS. Of course, Thinkorswim usually takes a while to load. It's installing updates now. Oh man. Let me think what else happened today that was interesting. So we had TaylorMade Products was that was a good one on the Gap. Just so many of the stocks that I thought were going to move today just, you know, kind of held their levels. Like I was waiting for Google to really break down. You know, using common shares on those is okay, right? It's just hard to do, you know, if you're not at your computer, right? So they're hard to do from the phone, right? Because you want to, you know, kind of monitor them and all that stuff a little bit more than options, right? Options you can take a trade and set your stop and be good. You know, with the regulars, you know, it's a little bit you kind of want to be at your computer. But the good news is I'll be at my computer tomorrow, and so hopefully I'll be able to go live in the morning for you guys, and you know, show some anchors and, you know, how they trade at the morning. Oh, I know Amazon at 1645. Yeah, 1642. I mean, it's just defending that whole kind of 1650 range right now. I mean, eventually it's going to, you know, potentially break below it. So, but right now it's not, you know, kind of showing anything. It's not really breaking down yet. So this is why I like to have everything loaded up ahead of time, because it does take a while for my Thinkorswim to load. I appreciate you guys hanging in there. I really want to pull these charts up for you. Unbelievable. Hold on 1 sec. Can't believe it. Let me clear my... Alright, let's try it again. 1 sec. I tell you, it is inspiring me though to get one of those nice nice trading computers.
get a speaking of NVIDIA, get like an NVIDIA super video card and with HDMI cables and 4 monitors would be pretty awesome. So I could look at all the time frames and see the pitchforks and the different, all the setups would be great. Yeah. If anybody has any general questions they want to throw out there, just kind of about trading or whatever, I'm happy to field questions. Oh, here we go. Finally got my login screen. Oh, come on. Let's try that. Alright, I think we're loading up here. Alright, remind me not to double click on the news. Bytes of RAM, megabytes of RAM. I got like 8 RAM in this thing, so I think 16 is the one you need, or 32. But anyway, let me know if you can see this, but I'm going to start pulling up BGS right now. Oh, that's GS, yeah, good old Goldman Sachs. Nice down trail going, probably will hit this pitchfork low, like 160, but that looks like it could, potentially bounce from there. So keep an eye on Goldman Sachs. Oh, that was all after this double inside day up here too. Look at that. Oh, so beautiful. Anyway, so I'm telling you, I don't know what your scanner is, but it's pretty phenomenal. Yeah, so nice cup and handle kind of situation going on here. Hammer day pivots here at 33. It seems like they'll potentially run into some resistance there. Month is green, week is green to the upside. With a nice pause, nice big green bar here, and then kind of a double pause, right? So potential measured move to the upside, 31, 60, type situation on increasing volume. I mean, this is really, pretty good stuff. So let me know if you can. I'll do a pitchfork here while we're waiting. A little bit tough one here. We'll have to see with this one, see what it does. Like you said, I'm looking for a breakout here to try to eventually, kind of push up. I mean, it looks like here that it's, pretty much taken out. This pitchfork is pretty good. Yeah. Look at this, kind of working at the top of this range here, and it's broken out, right? So just like that cup and handle up. So I would definitely look to, yeah, obviously everything is looking pretty bullish on this thing. So just use caution on it, right? I would use the daily hammer bar as a gauge, depending on what time frame you like to trade. But I mean, nice volume at the end of these days. A lot of green at the end of days. Trying to push up, and then look for a measured move. Potential breakout over this hammer to the upside. So it looks good. Alright, AFL. Yeah, so we got AFL. Right, well, let me go back to Twitter. Okay, so Twitter. Yeah, so as you know, I have this overall, head and shoulders scenario, right? And of course, nothing is ever completely projected easily, right? So you look at what's going on. It could be a 1, 2, 3, and this could be an A, B, C correction going on with Twitter. But at this point, there's no sense in fighting it, right? So today, I had a couple good pushes, and I have this off of this pitchfork line. You draw a trigger line, And so today you see it came down and bounced right off of it, and back up to this 50% mark. So the question is how much further will it go? Will it go up to 39? Will it fill the entire gap to the upside and then eventually reverse? So just have to trade intraday setups. And so let's go to the 60s here and see. Here it put in a nice, decent hammer, never triggered, then went inside, and then it went double inside, 60, right? And then just on the VWAP, so I wouldn't have taken it there, but the break of the VWAP you could have done, and that was 35.77 all the way up to 39, so 20 cents right there, which is not too bad on Twitter, but definitely one worth keeping an eye on. How did AMD end up closing on the 60s, by the way? Yeah, below the VWAP. I wanted to see if we could use it like an anchor with that too. So tomorrow might be a little bit complicated. We might get some more chop as well. So I was kind of hoping for like a bunch of double inside days, for tomorrow, and then Monday just being, a lot of action. But we'll have to see how tomorrow trades. BGS, Amazon, of course, we talked about that. Amazon, obviously I tweet all the fingers out every night, but Amazon, decent reversal today. Couldn't hold the view up, but then also couldn't break below the 1640 level. Right now it's up over 1658. So we just have to see what this guy wants to do. Right, this is like the overall market. Right, double top, 1, right, ABC 2, and looks it might be going 1, 2. Can't get over this, this resistance, and then might be working for a wave 3 down. Right. I was thinking 1200 for Amazon eventually, especially looking at this this pitchfork, but I drew another one here too, and so if it does break through this median line, we could potentially see back down into the 1300. So, and then if it breaks that, then we're definitely down to 12. So because that'd be a third wave down. But yeah, it's really defending today. So do I use Ichimoku? I used to. I kind of played around with it not too long ago, and I just quit using it. But to kind of give you a summary of what Ichimoku is all it is moving averages projected forward, right? And so I don't know how much predictive power they really have. Some people really love it. I think Option Sniper uses it, and if it works for him, it's probably pretty good. But if you pull up the Ichimoku, so all it is it takes the moving average, kind of calculation. Right, here's, let's say, like your 10, and then what is it? It uses 13, 70, 30 or something, and it just kind of maps it forward, right, to kind of give you like a projected area. You can see here these kind of came down and projected those forward, so it just kind of pushes everything a little bit forward and gives you this these kind of resistance areas. But you don't really need it because look, why would this be? It helps, right? It gives you some visual guidance, right? And it's fine. And I think you can use it successfully, right? But look, if you break out of this cloud, right, what are you really doing? You're breaking out of this pivot and this pivot, right? So if I came back up here and then took out that pivot and that pivot, of course it's the average of the price, and if it's volume weighted, like the VWAP or something like that takes into account volume, but it just kind of takes into account the average, right? So the moving averages, like Google, Holy Grail setup, which is a bounce off of your 50 moving average. So your 50 moving average is this one. I draw it on the red, and it took that yesterday, bounced right off of it, touched it again, bounced right off of it. Does it also happen? I would rather look to see kind of draw lines and kind of see which way they're going, but it can be effective. So hope that helps on that. So take off the Ichimoku. Clayton, when trading options, do you wait for the open to put your order, or do you put an order before at the price that you want? Yeah. So I rarely trade at the open. I did do Nvidia this morning. I don't tweet out all of my trades or anything like that, because my whole reason for doing Twitter and doing videos and stuff like that is so you guys can find your own stuff, right? And I can kind of like share what I learn, and you can of course you can look at my game plan and kind of use those ideas. Putting out ideas during the day is tough, especially when you're working and all that stuff. But so today it was kind of interesting, because when I was going through this morning and going through all the charts on the pre-market, Nvidia was actually kind of turning it up and looking pretty strong, right? And so it did give a good opportunity, and I thought there might be a chance for it to squeeze this morning while others were going down, and it did. It gave like kind of a nice push. You could have made a few bucks on that as a scalp, and that was actually probably one of the best moves it did today. And then that was pretty much it. But in those cases, you just wait until it triggers, for the most part. So that was rare for me to trade something right at the open. But if I were going to trade here off of like a 30-minute orb, say like this one here, I'd wait until it breaks to the downside, and then I would buy a put, right? And then I would probably just have my my stop up here, and just as soon as if the price were to take that stop out, then I'd close out my put position. Otherwise, I'd hold it and then just kind of trim and trail, as it works, right? So that would have been a great day to have puts on that. Wouldn't it be nice if we could see these ahead of time? That'd be fantastic. But we could just do the best we can with with what we know, right? And that's why I like the orbs too, because if they're and trading them in the direction in which they're gapping, right? So YOLO swag buck survey for side money, nice. Shirley, okay, nice. We got a nice setup tonight. So CNP. Let's go monthly green, weekly green, cup and handle break. Good volume back here. Solid at the open. And then a reversal bar here. So to close with some volume and kind of like right on the VWAP. So interesting one to look at. Let's see how our see how the hourlies are looking. I mean, no matter how you slice it and dice it, it looks like kind of put in a breakout somewhere. It's kind of testing this area. See how long it could hold it, right? Otherwise, if it comes back in and pivots, right, you might see it come back down. OGE. Solid. I hope you traded this. I think we talked about it not too long ago. This is definitely not what I would have done on my own. So obviously, test, pivot up, break. Good for 40.61, 40, over a point on that one. EIDO. Nice little MSCI Indonesia ETF iShares. Seems to jump all around. Just kind of see how it handles these, pivot, broke through, wait up here, see if it pivots up here for potential reversal. AU. Can't have a day without looking at AU, right? Look at that, still going, keep putting in highs for you. So it might get a little bit higher to 1254, and then see if it pivots and comes back in. And of course, right? Looks like that has been serving pretty well as support now. So let's see if it breaks out above that high of 1418 and can get any higher for you. If it does, right, you got another pivot up here at 1548. Always a good one, Shirley. I appreciate it. They're fun. You pick some really good ones to look at. I like the challenge because a lot of them I've never seen before, except for the ones that you've already had me look at. So, good stuff. I got a few pretty good, decent ones for the game plan tomorrow. And like I said, I plan on trading live at the open. I didn't see too many inside anchors, but we had a couple inside days, which is. Which I used to use it, now I use point and figure. Yeah. Okay, cool. That's interesting. I've never really messed with point and figure. That's good. But yeah, dun dun dun. What do we got? Did anybody catch the 60 anchor on this one today? On Twitter. Obviously it held those levels, but you guys know that inside 60 anchor, you could have taken that down to the downside pretty quickly this morning. So just something I wanted to point out. So nice quick what is it, 36.23 all the way down to 35.60. You know, nice 60 points on Twitter at the open would have been pretty good. Anyway, that was off of the game plan too. So yeah, got an interesting one for tomorrow, and yeah, I think it'll be pretty good. Yeah, I got Thinkorswim. Do they have point and figure? Let me take a look real quick. Good question, and I've never messed with it on this. Chart type candle. They've got, it looks like, bar charts, candles, candle trends, Heikin Ashi, line, area, and equivolume. So, no, they don't have point and figure, but I think, doesn't TradingView have it? Typing the wrong thing. I got some guy playing a weird whistle. All right, let's see. Let me just give me 1 second. Sorry. Let's just do this Facebook. Just want to see if TradingView has it. I'm sure they do. They're pretty good. Yeah, point and figure. The TradingView has point and figure. So if you guys are interested in seeing that, you can check that out on TradingView.com, and it's free. But anyway, yeah. So no, they don't have it. But it would be interesting to learn. That's something I need to probably read about at some point. But it does seem pretty interesting. But in the meantime, I'll just keep looking at my bar charts and candle charts. So, but yeah. So that's all I got tonight, guys. I really appreciate all the questions and chart requests. So keep an eye out intraday for morning star setups, and if I find a good one, I'll post it on Twitter as well. And so have a good night, everybody. Appreciate all your patience, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.